Rugby World Rankings for the 1st of November 2021, and would you look at that, the All Blacks are back at number 1. A bit of chopping and changing between the All Blacks and the Springboks in recent times, and the All Blacks, having beaten Wales at the weekend, are back to number 1. You may be asking yourself, hey, wait, but there's outside the test window. Wales didn't even have the full strength team. That count for points? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I've done another video on how the world rankings are calculated generally, but you can check that one out if you want. But essentially, yeah, that counted as a test. South Africa didn't drop any points, so they are still on 91.13, getting ready for their matches. But the All Blacks who did play took some points off Wales, so 91.36. The All Blacks are back at number 1 for now. Australia, I should say, not this week because they didn't play, but the week prior they did play Japan over in Japan, and they took some points off Japan as well. So Australia are up from 86.99 to 87.51. The All Blacks were on 90.97, so they didn't take a heck of a lot of points from Wales, but they took points nonetheless. England, Ireland, France, Scotland, and Argentina are all unchanged. Now, Scotland did play. They played Tonga, but the gap between Tonga and Scotland is so great. And Scotland were also at home, so there was no points exchange between those two sides. Wales, they haven't lost any spots. They're in 9th. I know they're Six Nations champions. It comes up in every video. But the world rankings take into account more than just that one tournament. Unfortunately for the Welsh ranking, 2020... those kind of poor results are still hurting Wales. Likewise, I guess a couple of games where they've had to field a strength which is less than full strength, right? A side which is less than full strength. Against Argentina without their British and Irish Lions, and now against New Zealand without their injured players, which is just a given, and their players who are based in the Premiership. So, Wales kind of burned 3 times over by losing or drawing games at home when they didn't have full strength sides. But as I said, the world rankings don't care. So there you go, 80.20 for Wales. Japan also got those points taken off them by Australia when they lost at home, but neither of them lost enough to drop any spots. Fiji, Georgia, Samoa, Italy, Tonga, and Uruguay are actually, well, apart from Uruguay, they've all stayed the same. But Uruguay, a few weeks ago when they beat the USA in their Rugby World Cup qualifier, they did overtake the USA, who are in 17th spot. So Uruguay were on 66.33. They're now on 67.60. So they fit on the whiteboard. So congratulations to them. Also fitting because, they've qualified for the World Cup. So that's kind of happy days for those guys. USA 17th on 66.54. So they have dropped. So not a whole lot of changes given we haven't had a heck of a lot of games in these kind of autumn, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or Northern Tour matches, or whatever you want to call them. We'll certainly see a lot more moving around next week. You might be asking yourselves, can South Africa jump back to number 1 spot next week? I believe they can. New Zealand are playing Italy, so if New Zealand lose, obviously they will drop below South Africa. But assuming New Zealand win, which they tend to do against Italy, there's not going to be any points exchange. So New Zealand will be static on 91.36 next week. South Africa's mission is to win by more than 16 points or more. A 15-point victory will not do it. They will still be behind New Zealand. But if South Africa get a 16-point win, it will be back to number 1 for the Springboks. I don't think the Wallabies will go up if they beat Scotland, but I think Scotland could potentially go up if they beat Australia. Likewise, I think France can go up if they beat Argentina, and Argentina can probably do likewise. But it also depends, right? They could pass a team, but if they also win, then it's kind of, there's lots of moving pieces, so it's hard to say who is going to pass who. I think Ireland probably stay the same, even if they beat Japan. I don't think they can take enough points off Japan to pass them when they're at home. There's women's games on this weekend as well. The Black Ferns, are taking on England again. There's other games outside kind of the tier 1 teams. Portugal's playing Canada, Spain's playing Fiji, Romania's playing Uruguay. Heaps of rugby on in November. It is just such a feast. Like, goodness knows how much we will all be able to see, but hopefully we will be able to see a few games. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on the World Rankings. Do you think it's fitting that the All Blacks take that spot? I know there'll be a bit of criticism about it just because the Welsh side wasn't at full strength, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess, in terms of it being a mathematical formula and not really taking team strength into account. That would be a bit of a nightmare to try and calculate. But yeah, you guys let me know which teams you think are too high, which ones are too low. If you want to see more of New Zealand, seeing as we are the #1 team in the world for the moment, in my spare time, I've been walking around with a camera taking some film of the streets. So there's a channel called Walk NZ. That one is mine. It's got about 400 odd subscribers. Ideally, I'd like to get it up to 1,000. So if you want to have a look out there, check out some of the suburbs or bits of the ones at Eden Park. I had to walk around Eden Park with a camera. So if you want to have a squiz or a look around Auckland primarily, but I'll try to get to some places around New Zealand after the lockdowns are done. Check out that channel. There's no talking, just walking and hopefully some sights and sounds for you guys to look at. But yeah, I'll stop selling that second channel to you. World Rankings, what do you guys reckon? Take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.